Porco Rosso is one of those anime that fell for the fell victim to the don't judge a book by its cover, because people didn't watch this because they didn't find the pig appealing. They wanted their cute little girl on the cover like every other Miyazaki film, or almost. So this one's it's very unappreciated. I just watched it for the first time, and it's definitely among the classics, among one of the best. And people are probably looking at this and saying, "Who's that girl?" Because they're like, if you want the little cute girl is in here, because that's what everybody seems to look at when it seems it's a Hayao Miyazaki film. But that's not why I watch the films, So anyhow, I didn't write a script for this one, so I'm just gonna go off what I can remember. But Poker also revolves around the story of a bounty hunter, who his name is Marco. He was a soldier previously in the World Wars, and he's a veteran now. He turned to a pig. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know how to fix it. And he drives a red plane that's designed for combat. It's like a boat ship. Now, right away, this reminds me of Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, who is also a bounty hunter who drives a red ship. So that's a interesting similarity. What happens is he gets caught up with engine problems, and he gets shot up by an American named Curtis, who also drives a similar style plane for combat, and he ends up crashing, and he has to survive and hide because he's vulnerable. And from there, he meets Theo, who is the girl you can see on the pictures. She is an engineer. But before that, I do want to establish that there are space pirates in this film, similar to Lapida or Castle in the Sky. And in the beginning, he is saving these girls that were taken hostage by the pirates, and the girls are young. They don't seem to care that they're being kidnapped and taken hostages. They see it as a fun time. And Marco, who is the pig, he stops them and he shoots down their ship and rescues the girls and gets paid. And he goes drinking at a bar at night, where he has a friend named Gina. Gina is a singer at the bar who has just about every single man or space pirate there going after her, because she's a beautiful woman with a beautiful voice. But she is in love with Marco. I mean, he's a pig now, but I guess in this world, it goes beyond appearances, or it goes beyond beast type. Anyhow, she's in love with Marco, but she has a bet that she has going on involving him, that she wants him to meet her in her secret garden during the daytime, so she can, fall in love with him, I guess, or not fall in love with him, but just get together with him and get married and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know how much Marco is aware of this. I don't think they don't explain it, but she's mad that he only shows up at night at the bar. So this ties into how I was saying earlier, how he gets caught up in this fight with Curtis and gets shot down because he has engine problems. And he takes his ship to his trusty old mechanic. But the mechanic, it puts the job of the repairs on his granddaughter, who is Theo Piccolo, who is the girl with the red hair you see on the screen. And at first, Marco is unsure about it because he doesn't trust a young girl doing this, because the Fiona asks him, "Why don't you want me to help you? Because I'm young, or is it because I'm a girl?" And Marco says both. And he becomes surprised to see that an entire crew of women are the ones who fix his ship. And he pays the engineer money. He doesn't have enough, so he ends up getting loaned the rest. During this time, the government's after him, and there's a warrant out for his arrest. He goes to a movie theater where one of his comrades from the military gives him the heads up and says, "Hey, the military is after you. They want to take you in." And he tells, and my favorite scene in this film is when he asked Marco, "If you join the army, I can use my influence from the military to get you off this." And Marco tells him, I'd rather be a pig than a fascist." And that was my favorite line and my favorite part in this film. And he rejects that. Well, now, what I like about Marco is that every line he has in this film is just great. It's just good. From simple lines to philosophical lines to rebellious, smart, like witty lines. This character is like Kazuho Yoshii from Texan Lies. Like everything that he says is just good. I really like that about this ham, this swine, this pork. But anyways, so because he got the heads up, so Marco now needs to leave, and he luckily, as he's walking back to the repair shop, he finds Fio, who gives him a ride, and he tells her just in time because he's being chased. And when Fio looks in the back mirror, she sees that there's secret police, which Marco calls the fascist secret police. They're following them, and Marco tells her that she isn't part of it because they know that she's helping him repair the ship. And so once they get back, he tells everybody he needs to go now. He doesn't have time to wait, and there's already people outside the building ready to get him. And so Figo develops a plan to be his mechanic and come along with him. Marco doesn't want him to because he thinks it's too dangerous for her. And he even tries to warn her by saying that he's a man and they're gonna be alone. And Figo, of course, she doesn't get it. She thinks the idea of camping out with a pig is just a fun idea. And even though he's against it, he ends up having to, I guess, forced to be allowed to let her go. And they go off. And Figo tells him that they're gonna pretend that he didn't pay and just ran off with the ship, so that they don't get held by the law too. So when they take off with the plane, the agents are trying to shoot him, but they miss. And then all the mechanics are like, thief, pay. So that got them off the hook. And now, so this swine is now like on the run. He's a vigilante on the run now. And he tried to get money off his old job of hunting down bounties for space pirates. But they tell him that profession now doesn't really give much money now. And so the next, some things that develop after that is, him and Fio get close. Fio is fascinated with his character. And Marco's a pretty smooth player, and he's a very smart, intelligent person. Always knows what to say. So then Gina, she has the American is after her for he wants to marry her and take her to Hollywood to make her a star, and Gina refuses because she is in love with the pig. And so the next thing that happens is Marco and Theo decide to run to Marco's hideout, but when they get there, the space pirates are already waiting for them in the tent, and they come out, they surround them. So you would think that Marcos is dead or a goner, but Theo defends him and uses like the talk of the honor of the space pirate to kind of fool these people and convincing them with her charisma and speech talents to let them go or find an alternative. And she wins them over. I mean, these space pirates are not that bright. They don't shower, which they point out. And they're completely mesmerized by a pretty young girl yelling at them. So they decide to let him off the hook. But Curtis, the American plane fighter who had shot down Marco before, challenges him. And he he kind of gave up on Gina, and now he's going on Theo, and he says he got mesmerized by how beautiful Theo is, and says that if he wins, Theo has to marry him. But if he loses to Marco, then Theo says that Marco will pay the loan to pay off the plane, which is a lot of money. And Curtis agrees, saying that he's gonna fight for the one he loves. And that night, Marco is preparing his bullets for the fight. Again, similar to how Spike was preparing his guns and ammo before the last fight with Vicious. And Theo starts to tell him that, or confessing to him that he likes him. And Marco ends up telling her a story about the war, how he thought he went to hell during the fight, but he survived somehow. And for a second, Theo notices that Marco turned back into a human, but then he turns back into a pig. And he's like, what? And I mean, maybe she was just dreaming, or maybe it's the beginning that we're seeing that Marco is turning back into a human, because it's unexplained, the whole thing about the pig. And she ends up going out and giving him a kiss. Now the big fight starts. And again, before I go to the fight, I mean, standard per major Ghibli film, it has great, incredible animation. It has great music. The master Joe Hisaishi did another incredible score. From the animation, the expressions, the detail, just the planes down to like the shiny reflections off the planes, everything's beautifully animated. The Probably my favorite animation though was in the final battle between Marco and Curtis. The plane fight animations just completely incredible when they fly by the audience and kind of start destroying stuff, and just they're flying in the air. And there's this one scene where they're flying and they're sky high, and they just swoop down right towards the audience. I was amazed with the animation in that scene. And so in the fight, Marco pretty much had won early on. He completely outclassed Curtis, but his strategy was to wait till Curtis gets tired and shoot his engine. So I guess he was trying to embarrass him or something. I don't know, but this backfires because it turns out that Marco's gun was jammed, so he broke his lever trying to fix it. But luckily for him, Curtis ran out of ammo, so they both had nothing else left to fight with. So in this hilarious scene, they're flying next to each other and they're like throwing stuff at each other, like wrenches and trash. Curtis tries to shoot Marco. It's funny. And so then the fight goes from a plane fight to a throwing stuff at each other fight. They end up going back down to the water, and then they end up fighting in a street fight in the ocean. And then end up doing a boxing style match, and they're just pounding each other unmercifully, like bruises, blood everywhere, and they're being cheered on. Fio's cheering him on. Now back to Gina at the bar. She finds out that the Italian military is aware of this fight, and they're gonna go over there to go catch Marco or whatever. And she decides to take a plane to go out there to warn him. And so she's on her way over there. And just the next part is just brutal. Just Marco and Curtis going at it. And Curtis tells Marco that he cannot like both Gina and Fio at once. He has to pick one. And that he needs to hurry up because Gina's at the garden waiting for him. And he's kind of like surprised by this. So Curtis ends up delivering some really, really good punches to the face. And at the end, they give each other one final blow each to the face. Similar to like Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z, where Goku and Frieza give each other a punch in the face and they're both like about to be killed, and they both fall in the water. And the referee does the countdown, and Gina arrives and tells Marco to get up, stop being a bad friend, and he gets up first, and he wins. So the Fio gets the money. Curtis loses, but he's a rich man. To him it was nothing. He actually enjoyed doing all that. And he tells Fio that, he still wants to keep in touch, I guess you could say. And Marco needs to get away because the Italian army he's aware that the Italian army is not coming for him. So he grabs Fio, throws her in Gina's plane, and says, "Go, leave." And she gets sad and she tries to reach over to kiss him in the mouth, but since Gina was driving the plane, she was just out of reach of Marco. And I'm really curious to what Gina thought about that, because they didn't show her reaction to that. And so he is now left at the beach alone with Curtis, and the army's coming, and Curtis tells him, Curtis decides to help him escape. And then Curtis looks at Marco, and you can see Curtis look at Marco's face, and he's like, "Hey, like your face, let me see your face." And Marco runs away back to the plane. It's pretty much obvious here that Marco has now turned back into a human. And Fio starts talking or narrating at this point and says that she never saw Marco again. And she ended up becoming good friends with Gina, took over the work, the business, grew up, the war ended and whatnot. Curtis still writes to her from America. We'll probably end up marrying her eventually. I would think so. And then she says that Gina's bet with Marco is their little secret. Now, they have to open for interpretation. I think that it's possible that Marco did come back to the garden to meet Gina. Now he's also probably a human now, as we saw at the end, the implication. And it's probably a secret because this is assuming that he's still a wanted man. So it's a secret because they keep his identity hidden, because now that he's a human, they're looking for a pig, so he can hide now. That's my interpretation, but I don't know. The ending didn't really conclude a lot of things, so you have to kind of use your imagination here. But that's Porco Rosso. It's an incredible film. Definitely watch it. Do not be discouraged by the cover of it being a pig. He is an extremely likable character. They're all great characters. Curtis, Phil, Gina, Marco, even the space pirate, like the leader. It's funny because the character development for the space pirates is that they eventually begin to they begin to shower and dress nice, but he does become the leader of the space pirates does become more mature at the end, and he starts being the jerk that he was in the beginning. Yeah, but Porco Rosso is a masterpiece, a 10 out of 10. Porco Rosso, I mean, sorry.